Welcome to the Deucecast Extra. We are live and in color talking about Star Wars Book of Boba Fett yet again. It's been a while since we've talked about a Star Wars show. We had a break there with a little MCU show called Hawkeye that was really good. But we are back talking Star Wars, and I noticed we've already got Brian hanging out with us. What's up, Brian? He always joins us for the Star Wars shows. We've got a latecomer, Tuscan Earl. Thanks for joining us, Earl. How's it going, buddy? Indubitably, exactly.
I can't do a Tuscan sound.
Thank you. We've got Roth, who will be on later to talk Yellowstone, hanging out in the chat as well. Thank you guys for joining us.
I've even got it in spirit right there.
I love it.
Oh, man.
It. Yeah, no, look. I'm excited about talking about Yellowstone later, but we are here, of course, to talk about Stranger in a Strange Land, episode 1 of chapter 1. I'm sorry, chapter 1, and that's key of Book of Boba Fett. Garrison, how's it going, buddy? Good to see you.
It's going great. About to go back to college soon.
That's right.
Yeah.
Jan term.
And Book of Boba Fett's going on right now. So I'm feeling good.
What more could you want?
The
Earl,
date for Moon Knight.
Well, yeah. A date for Moon Knight would be nice because that is rumored to be the next Marvel show we're going to get. But what we will see. I would assume that it must be very soon after Book of Boba Fett ends.
I hope so.
I mean, because if their goal is to have some content is king, and you got to have it every week.
Whoa!
Holy cow! That is a thick book you just showed us.
That's the book of Moon Knight?
The Omnibus.
Yeah,
oh my gosh.
Volume 1.
Holy cow, dude! It's impressive. Earl, you came in. How's it going, buddy?
Hey, good.
You ready for Book of Boba Fett?
I'm ready. Are we
Awesome.
talking about it?
We are going to talk about it, but first, of course, we had to bring our Star Wars expert back for this season of Book of Boba Fett. Nick from Podcast of the Wills. How's it going, buddy?
It is fantastic, and there is nothing I love more than hanging out on Tuesday nights, lobbing cheap shots at all of you from the chat, whether it's about Hawkeye, whether it's about Yellowstone. I'm not an 1883 guy yet, but those other two, I've got plenty to say. So now I get to actually do it in real life and, just continue to lob cheap shots at everybody.
Exactly.
So thank you for letting me come hang out.
Yeah, no, I'm super looking forward to this season. 6 episodes, or is it 7? 7 episodes of Book of Boba Fett. It's going to be great. This first episode was directed, of course, by Robert Rodriguez. Now, I believe he's directing most of them, but not all.
I think that's right.
I think there's going to be some other directors pop up that surprise us. Yeah, it's surprising.
I think it's mostly going to be Mandalorian guys, but yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. But it's good that they haven't announced that. They always kind of save the directors. Yeah. Yeah, I like that about the Star Wars.
But I feel like there was also, and now it's one of those things that was just fleeting enough that I could have totally made it up. But I feel like there was a news article that had come out in the last month or so, and something, it wasn't the big Hollywood Reporter one that was new. But there was something where it kind of seemed like that was where they dropped that little tidbit of there would be some other folks involved, whether it's
definitely not George Lucas.
I'd love to see, if Bryce Dallas Howard does one or something like that.
Nick,
I think that would
Nick
be great.
was not here for that era of the Deucecast Extra, I don't think, where we were doing season 2 of Mando and we were like, oh, maybe George.
Yeah, maybe George. Yeah, exactly. Everything was about George.
Gotta happen.
Yeah,
you got to have a running joke somewhere.
Yeah,
this is true. Book of Boba Fett was interesting because it's a show that we thought was going to start right after Mandalorian season 2. They sort of alluded to that in the post-credit scene. As the show was being created and as it got closer to release date, we figured out, based upon something that we saw in a lot of the different trailers and stuff, that there's going to be flashbacks. That's kind of a new Star Wars thing.
Okay.
Flashbacks used to never be a thing. In fact, that was something Star Wars just never did, was flashbacks. But it's certainly big in this show, I would say. A big part of this show.
The ones we've gotten mostly before this were animation, whether it was, Ezra thinking back on his parents, whether it was, there's some stuff in the Clone Wars for sure. But we do get some in Mandalorian because we get young Din getting rescued by the Night's Watch or
right.
Mandalorians or whoever they
Yeah,
were,
yeah.
you know, the battle droid that's about to smoke him when he's in the tornado cellar, because yes, I live in Alabama. But we get just a couple little bits of that in that show, but for the most part, that's not a device that we have seen.
Yeah,
in Star
JJ
Wars.
used it a little bit in Force Awakens. We saw young Rey. So I mean, it's a thing.
But
now.
it was those fleeting glimpses more than kind of the drawn out, you know, parts of that.
Now, do we think that this series is going to be flashback heavy through all 7 episodes? I wonder.
Before last Wednesday, I hadn't considered that a possibility, but it's I give it 50-50 credit at this point.
Yeah.
There's a whole story started there.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
they could do that thing where they flash back and then you see the lessons learned from the flashback in the future, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Throughout
Because really, if we're looking at the timeline, yeah, I saw that already. If we're looking at the timeline, Mando takes place 5 years after Return of the Jedi. But the stuff
There's a lot
that
of
we're
time.
getting of him, that's 5 years worth of time, assuming that what we're getting of where he walks in, takes out Bib Fortuna, and takes over the palace is also right after Mando, but we don't necessarily know where that jump fits in either. I mean, obviously he has the armor back, so we know, you know, it has to be somewhere between there. But 5 years is a lot of time for them to be able to go back and forth on some stuff.
And I get the feeling that we are going to be telling what almost ends up being a Boba Fett and Tusken Raider story for part of this series, like relationship with the Tusken Raiders, how deep it goes. I mean, wouldn't you think, Garrison, that looks like the way they're going?
Well, and that would make sense to me because, you know, I mean, he was able to traverse Tatooine in season 1. We saw his feet in season 1. It feels like he'll probably have a decently established relationship with the Tusken Raiders. I like that though, and I know Jacob said that the show seems kind of like Sopranos to him in space. It kind of reminded me of Godfather, and Dad and I were having this conversation of almost Boba being kind of like Michael. He's trying to rule with respect and trying to do something different,
change it up.
He might get corrupted. I don't know. That'll be really interesting to see what they do with the character.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, so would that make Fennec Shand then
she's the consigliere?
The consigliere, I'm guessing.
Okay, I didn't know where you were going with that.
I thought you were going to go with, is she the Fredo? And we were just going to shut this off.
No, not the Fredo. Like, because she seems like she's a little bit of Jimmy Cahn's character mixed with Robert Duvall. Like, because she kind of like is like, look, you gotta show these people that you are worthy.
She almost knows the rules of the game more.
Yeah.
And this is why one of my theories that I had kind of loosely put together beforehand is that I think that this whole rule with respect thing is a misdirect, because everything we've always heard about Boba Fett is, you know, he's the baddest bounty hunter in the galaxy. He doesn't hesitate to rocket somebody into the side of a building while he's getting his butt kicked in the street. And so Boba's more of a raw nerve, where Fennec is play the game, get to the top. And so one, that can play into the interplay between those two characters as far as, you know, being able to kind of play those two sides and help him figure out what to do. But they could also turn around and him go, yeah, I'm still here to blow stuff up.
Yeah. I mean, and Brian makes a really good point here about this relationship that Fennec and Boba have. I mean, he's got to really trust her if she's the one kind of like manning the Bactopod. For I think that's what they actually call it, a Bactopod, which that's the first. Now, Earl, I have to know this, you being the elder statesman in the group, I have to know, did you ever feel like you were going to get to see this moment of Boba Fett coming out of the Sarlacc pit?
No, I enjoyed some of the aspects of that about the digestion and him seeing the stormtrooper in there. Down in the stomach as well, probably longer than he has, obviously.
Yeah,
digesting for thousands of years, but not. I mean, I don't think that stormtrooper's been there that long.
Yeah,
but you know, he might have been a stormtrooper who was like out combing the desert for.
Yeah, like in Spaceballs.
Look, sir, droids.
Yeah.
Look, sir,
or we ain't found.
Fell into the pit.
Yeah, exactly.
No, look, here's the thing with me though. I don't know if I need to have every beat of his life laid out on screen. I've always liked the mystery of Boba Fett a little bit.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know. I'm still sort of like love it, hate it kind of concept with this. I mean, it's
like love it because it's new Star Wars.
Yeah.
Maybe come in with a little bit of trepidation.
Hate it's the wrong word. Yeah.
Because you do like the mystery of Boba Fett. Like, I think it was in an interview this week, because people just have to say things off the cuff now, and it ends up on Twitter. Joe Johnston at some point made the comment that he would have never taken Boba Fett's helmet off.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
They
that's
give you
his
a reason
take
for all that in season 2. So
yeah, exactly. So it's interesting. Like, I think I was talking to Nick earlier this week. I thought that the pacing was interesting for me. I mean, it felt like a little bit different than the Mandalorian pacing. The Mandalorian felt like it was moving at a pretty good beat most of the time. So I just had to get used to the pacing of it, and I've watched it a couple times since I mentioned that to Nick, and I think this is going to be a good series overall. I think this chapter 1 has given us a good setup for a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I agree with that. I wasn't like, some people seem bothered by it. Oh, it's too slow, or
it's the first episode.
Huh?
Yeah, exactly. It's chapter 1.
This is the setup episode. I mean, this is the establishing. The CW did this with Arrow, though. They had like,
dude, how dare you mention Arrow and Boba Fett in the same sentence?
I'm just saying, like, they would have flashbacks. Huh?
Yeah, first 2 seasons of Arrow did a good job of balancing the
That's
flashbacks.
True. I'm just giving Earl a hard
modern day.
Yeah.
Well, what else did a really great job with flashbacks, but then completely went off the rails and became one of the worst TV shows of all time?
Arrow?
What's that?
Lost.
Oh, no.
See, everybody.
How dare you? We're removing Nick from the chat.
You're right. Flashbacks.
How dare you? How dare you? They just didn't land that finale. It's okay. It doesn't mean that what came before it wasn't
started
great.
Before the finale, but that's a different episode that I'm.
But
glad
that's a
to have
different
with you
episode.
sometime.
Exactly.
That's another 2-hour.
So Nick, being a Tusken Raider expert that I know you are, this is we saw some of this like interaction in a different way with Tusken Raiders in Mando season 2. We saw Din Djarin using a lot of sign language with them, and it's very apparent that Boba is probably going to get to a point where he's going to be very close with these people, but right now he's not necessarily in the best spot with them. What characteristics do you think we're going to get to see of these Tusken Raiders? Like, how deep are they going to get to show us with this stuff?
Well, I think you hit it exactly on the head, and I thought about this when we were talking about the Tuskens a few minutes ago. There's been a decided story decision made in the last couple of years to bring new light to the Tuskens, because all we had of them prior to this were Luke getting attacked and them taking pot shots at the pod race in Phantom Menace. Like, we really didn't get anything else other than they're just mindless savages. Even in, writing and books and some of that kind of stuff, they were always kind of painted with that light. And so for whatever reason, the story group decided, let's put some depth in there. Let's figure out, who they are, what they are. And so you're right. In Mando, we get Mando communicating with them, doing sign language, which I thought was really cool because I think the actress that played the one he communicated with is a deaf actress, and that was real ASL that they were using.
Oh, yeah. I remember reading that.
And that story came out afterwards. And so I like that they're using that. And I think obviously it's using a story point to create character for Boba. Boba goes out and, he rescues and fights the monster and kind of gets the, hey, you deserve a water pod at the end. Kind of, you've been accepted. They take him out to watch the gang, raiding that farm or whatever it is. Like, there's a point to that. And I don't know if this is going to be it, but I have to share a theory that I hadn't remotely considered. My friend Brian from the Pink Milk podcast, he put something up on Twitter the other day that he thinks that main Chief Tusken or whoever it was that gave him the little drink pod, there could be somebody inside that costume. There could be a reveal in there.
Not a Tusken.
What if it's somebody else who's been assimilated into Tusken culture, was leading that tribe, and we get a reveal at some point before it's over of, oh, hey, it's me, Omega. Oh, hey, it's, that wasn't his suggestion.
Well,
but what if
right.
there's
But,
somebody else, in there masquerading as a Tusken and finding the opportunity to partner, with Boba Fett for this other inter-Tatooine politics situation that's going on.
I need to know who would play Omega. Will we put like Tamara Morrison, like make him look like a little girl or a grown-up woman?
No.
Omega.
I think we used a de-aged Ian McDiarmid. That's what
de-aged
Oh,
Ian
no.
McDiarmid.
Yeah, there we go.
Becca.
Yeah. So obviously,
I think it creates a good. I think
Yeah.
it's creating a character moment for Bobo as much as anything. It's creating, we're getting essentially what you guys have all said already. He's being humanized. He's being given something more than the 6 lines he had in 2 movies. He's getting more than the 9 minutes or 6 minutes of screen time.
Right.
And we're fleshing out again, like Earl said, I don't know that I need all these story points as somebody who grew up with the original trilogy. And I've said this a million times. Boba was not one of the things I was obsessed with. Like, he was cool looking, but there are a lot of things in Star Wars I loved way more. And so the people that were always so hardcore obsessed with Boba Fett, I just went, doesn't do it for me.
Yeah.
But the reveal in Mando season 2, before he even had the armor, I watched those scenes and I went, oh, this is why they say he's the best bounty hunter in the galaxy. It made sense then. Not the guy who got his jetpack hit by a blind Han Solo.
Right, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And the other side of what they're doing, obviously, is current timeline for the Mandoverse. So, I mean, they're showing us this this part of Boba's life where he has come back to Tatooine because I guess for whatever reason, and it wasn't explained in Mando, he feels like he has some unfinished business on Tatooine for what it was. Now, we saw that he, took out Bib Fortuna. That was one of the things he obviously wanted to do for whatever reason. And maybe by flashback, we'll get to see why that relationship was so cantankerous, for lack of a better term. But Bib's dead, unfortunately. I mean, I was okay with Bib. I mean, he was an okay guy. No more Matt Wood as Bib Fortuna.
He wasn't feeding those Gamorrean guards, though.
No, he wasn't.
That food himself.
He's got some
Because
strong.
Bib was a little beefy himself when that
He got a
place.
little chunky going.
Maybe that's what it was. He was eating.
Yeah,
he was eating all the food,
Yep.
and the Gamorreans weren't getting it.
Yeah, that's been my headcanon for a little bit.
Is that right?
Yeah, since that episode came out.
So, Garrison, we see him trying to be like this role of the new crime boss in town, basically. And so what's interesting is we're getting to see some of the dynamic of what it takes on Tatooine to be a crime boss. And you've got to be amongst the people, which we never really saw that of Jabba, obviously. We never saw that aspect of Jabba, except I guess you could count maybe the special edition A New Hope, where you see Jabba on
such a pointless scene.
That is such a pointless scene. Yeah, it really
all the
is.
information on that scene has already been mentioned, and then
exactly. But we get to see him go to this this bar in Mos Espa. Any thoughts on if they're just being nice to Boba, and they're planning on trying to overthrow him? I mean, it seems like they're not really wanting to work with him well.
I don't know. They're an interesting case. I saw them giving him money, and I think that was just kind of the expectation that the crime lords have had on those places, those businesses. So they just kind of did that because that's what they do.
Yeah.
I don't see them as good or bad yet. We can see, I guess.
Yeah, we'll see. And Earl, I got to bring it up because I know you and I are simpatico on this, but Jessica Biel in Star Wars, what's up?
She shows up.
I know.
Twi'lek.
She's a Twi'lek, exactly.
What's her name? It's
Garza Fwip.
What? Garza.
Garza. FWIP.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Now, I mean, the Twi'leks without the French accent, I guess we don't need to complain about everything, but I mean, we're not here to do that. But I'm like, why do you work so hard to establish that in your animated series and not not bring that forward in your live action series.
Mikey, do all humans have French accents?
You're right.
Or
You're
one
right.
accent?
Yeah.
Well,
That's true.
and it's the, I think, and it came up a lot during Bad Batch because, of course, that also kind of freaked everybody out when we hear Hera's parents with the French accents.
Yeah,
we get it that tiny bit in Rebels when she goes back and they get into an argument, but it's the code switching thing, where so many of these people, these creatures and aliens have had to live somewhere else that's not their home planet, so they've adapted, they've changed. I saw the other day Christina Ariel, who hosts the High Republic shows and all that kind of stuff. She's from Columbus, Georgia, and lives in LA now. And she was home visiting her family over the holidays. And she posted something on Facebook about how all she had to do was drive into Georgia and start talking to her family, and she was right back. But when she's in LA and hosting things for Lucasfilm and Star Wars, she's very neutral and all that. And so I think, and of course, I know you're partially making a joke, but that is, it's actually, to me, a really neat detail. Jumping around that, because if they were on the Twi'lek home planet, then we'd probably get tons of French accents. But these are Twi'leks, however we want to say that, living on Tatooine. They're on another planet, and so they are also adapting and fitting in along the way. So
I could buy that, Nick. I want to hear Rhett's counterpoint. No.
Oh yeah, I forgot to tell Rhett Rhett has to be reminded every 5 minutes of something because he's so old. He has instant memory loss, and
this
so
is
I can't.
The perfect show for Rhett to be in the chat.
Dude,
you didn't ask Rhett to show up.
I did not want to because I know how he felt about it. So I did not
actually watch the episode.
He did watch it, and
Mikey's still really shy about putting Rhett and I in the same room for anything.
I can't. Rhett's just gonna he would bring this.
Well, and I want to say something else about that cantina and that bar and the helmet and that kind of stuff. I saw this, and I can't take credit for this either, but we've had at this point a week now for me to see thoughts and read things and whatever. I really like the idea that the mayor's major domo shows up, who is Andrew Meyer, Selena's ex-husband from Veep. That actor, I love that.
Really?
That's who that is.
Matt Berry, is that his name?
No, Matt Berry is
no, he's somebody in the episode though.
Matt Berry's the Trandoshan that brings the Wookiee pelts.
That's right. That's right.
But
the Bantha.
But yeah, the guy that's the major domo for the mayor, that actor is Julia Louis
is his name.
Ex-husband. Yeah. But when he shows up, and of course that really awkward, they build in the humor moments, and Boba's going, seriously, I think, does he know how this works? He's supposed to pay me.
Right.
She's going, he wants you to pay him. We're going to let you live your life, all that stuff. So he says you should expect another delegation. He's kind of that veiled threat, that whatever.
Oh yeah. It was certainly
somebody put on Twitter that when Boba goes to that establishment, whatever, and he leaves with the helmet full of coins, that wasn't as much about paying him because you're supposed to pay the Don when he shows up, but it was about forcing him to carry his helmet because they knew the attack was coming, and maybe he would be more exposed if he had it in his arm, not on his head. And I like that. I like little storytelling detail. If that's the case, that it and that creates exposure.
It would give Boba the impression that this is what we're supposed to do.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's less,
bring his guard down.
Threatening. Right. Exactly. His guard's down. Oh, I've got a bucket full of money in my hand.
Dude, the line, do you want us to take your Gamorreans and hose them down was hilarious. I was all about that. I was like, that's probably the funniest thing I've heard in Star Wars in a while.
Yeah, that was awesome.
It was pretty good.
It was pretty good stuff.
And there were so many of those little things like, where's your litter? I don't wear a litter. I walk on my own 2 feet. All the different, there were little bits along the way, which is also Boba bucking the expectations of what a crime lord is supposed to do, of what whoever. Although I did think it was really funny that he had to say to Fennec, no, he's supposed to pay me. I'm the crime lord.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, but Boba is an evolving character, obviously. I mean, the problem that I think everybody had going into or seeing Boba Fett back in general is in their mind, there's a bunch of preconceived notions. This dude is not a guy that minces words much. He gets his crap done, and he just goes for it. And the Boba that we've gotten in Mandalorian season 2 and in this is actually a much more thoughtful human being, and much more. I think it actually creates a more mysterious aura around him, because you really don't know this guy very well at all now. You thought you knew him, but now you really don't at all, because he's completely different than what your preconceived notions about his characterization were going to be. And it'll be really interesting to see. I'm almost like more interested in the stuff with the Tusken Raiders, because I'm just wondering, like,
really,
it could, there could be like this relationship building with the female Tusken Raider. There felt like something going on there.
Now she was in the darker outfit, right?
The
With
one
the guy who
she had the
up.
braids, right? I mean, it was the one that fought him was the female, right? Or is it the other one?
I was watching.
No, she did fight him that one. Yeah, she came out.
Yeah, I think.
Although I wasn't 100% sure it was female. It was.
Yeah, I can't. I was watching on my iPad. I could not tell any any discerning things like that.
Yeah, I just felt like they were trying to make that particular Tusken Raider a bit more. But you could maybe tell it was a female.
Dad did mention to me a female Tusken Raider, so probably.
Yes.
I think that's right. Well, and I think too, going along with your thought, Michael, about dashing expectations for Boba Fett that we've had built up over 40 years. That's a lot of what we've gotten in this first episode is, he's not just the faceless, like you said, the Joe Johnston comment, I don't want to, he's not a faceless badass robot. He's, there's somebody in there, even to the fact that if this is the time frame connected to right after Mandalorian, if this is 5 years post Sarlacc, he's still in bad shape, because after that fight in the street, get me back to the Bactapod. Like, there was no, he's hurting. He's got residual injury and lung issues and
and that's interesting. I mean, because I think some people were like, "Oh, this guy's such a weakling," but obviously this dude's been damaged quite a bit more than we gather. I mean,
somebody said Sunday night, and I don't read comic books, and I just have zero familiarity really with Star Wars comic books other than kind of the big just things everybody knows. But apparently Boba Fett is the character over the course of the last 40 years that every time he shows up, he gets his ass kicked somewhere by somebody else, and then shows up again. So like, if we're going with that canon, he's got, 35, 40, 50 years of getting his butt beat every time he turns around, but bouncing back and, dealing with that residual, whatever it is, which is also why I'm interested to find out where this plugs in with Mando season 2, because he had no hesitations, no out of breath, no I need my Bactapod when he destroyed all those stormtroopers in Mando season 2.
Yeah.
But in this one, which didn't seem like that much more of a complicated fight, and he had his armor, he was struggling. Like, by the end, they had to carry him back and, strip him down and throw him in there in a hurry because he was hurting. So I'd be interested to see if that's a part of what this is going to develop, and may feed into one of my big rock theories that I've been carrying about this show.
Earl, I mean, how close do you think we are to having Bacta in real life?
Well, it's in development.
It's in development.
We're in stage 3 trials.
He's not really allowed to talk about it.
He's not really allowed to talk about it.
No, we do have hyperbaric chambers that help your tissue grow, and it regenerates, and they use it for wounds. I had a friend who did it for a wound on his leg, and
really,
he was like, he said it was so freaky. He said it's like they're like, you could catch on fire, but it doesn't happen often. and he was like, what? Because they're putting like pure oxygen in there. And he said it sounds like that helmet when it goes on, like when they clamp it down, it sounds like Darth Vader's helmet going on. At one point, he was like, I can't do this anymore. He banged on the things and get me out of this, because he just started freaking out. So
that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, it seems like it's
not full of fluid though. Not yet.
Not yet. Yeah, we'll get there. We'll get there. It seems like Boba, from like a medical perspective, was pretty bad off after he got
burned up.
Yeah, he was. I mean, I guess that was stomach acid burns. But then also
he was digesting.
Yeah, it was stomach acid, but then also he had a lot of sun damage as well. I mean, because we don't know how long, like after the Jawas took his armor and knocked him out, we really don't know how long that period of time went between like that moment and the Tusken Raiders showing up, which he looked pretty rough.
Dermatologist.
He looked pretty rough.
Yeah.
Now the back to pod's helping, but I
Well,
mean,
and another medical question for Earl: the worms that they squeezed the juice out of his butt into his mouth. I mean, is that just Tatooine smelling salts? What do we got going on there?
Oh yeah, that was odd. Yeah, I don't know what that was about.
that was just
I'm gonna have to do some research.
That was just
Get back to us. You've got an assignment now.
That was like a wake up juice, right?
That was some wake up juice, exactly. It
like
probably just tasted so bad it immediately woke him up because
it's probably just a little flask of rock energy drink if we're all being serious
that's
about
true.
it.
Zoa?
I use that for
natural Zoa.
The natural Zoa, exactly. Did anyone take the time, because I didn't, to make notes of any Easter eggs? Because I did not take the time to do it. Nick,
I just watched
come on.
The thing about some Easter eggs.
Oh, yeah. Look, I loved it. And he was Puppet. Max Rebo.
Yes.
Max Rebo is back, baby.
He wasn't Jedi Rocks.
Max
Get that
Rebo.
crap out of here. No.
Max Rebo.
He was old school Max Rebo.
Jedi.
And I loved basically a Cantina song version that they were doing.
Yes.
I mean, they were doing the original song in a different version, and it makes me wonder if just they haven't really tried to stretch themselves much. They just kept that one song going for all these years. And this was Mos Espa versus Mos Eisley, and so
correct.
Maybe they tour around.
He was on tour to all the Mosses, Maybe Anchorhead.
He clearly had to put things together. Brian says it. DJ Rex. We had a DJ Rex robot that was serving drinks.
Oh, I didn't see that. Oh,
as they're panning into that cantina right as you come past Max and the band on the right. And there's the shot of the R4 droid playing the drums, which was also fun. In fact, he had a symbol out of the top of his head, and he had a little thing that was hitting it. But yeah, the DJ Rex brand or style robot was serving drinks, I think it was, right as that came through there. So that was fun. I was trying to think if it wasn't as Easter egg heavy. I mean, it felt familiar because it was in a spot we're used to, and Jabba's palace and some of that kind of stuff. One other interesting kind of comic book thing, and again, I don't read the comic books, but somebody put up the panel. I thought it was interesting, giving everything that's going on right now with this the War of the Bounty Hunters arc that's out. That's a lot about Crimson Dawn and Kira and all that kind of stuff. And those thugs that attacked them in the street had a very similar crimson jumpsuit.
Oh,
the parkour ninjas had a very similar crimson jumpsuit look to, not exact, but enough.
The tracksuit mafia.
That's right. The Tatooine suit mafia. There could be a connecting point there. And like Ross said, there have been several people that have speculated, could we get Akira as a big bad?
Maybe she's the one
because
up like a Tusken
because the time frame is right. The time frame is right for her to be there.
She would be older though, right? She would be.
Yeah, she would be older, but it wouldn't be significant enough that they couldn't use.
They got balked. They got Boctopods. They can de-age.
And if she's going to Jessica Biel's place, it goes back to one of the callbacks in Mando season 2 where Grief Karga talked about the Twi'lek healing baths. And so maybe that's part of what Jessica Biel is running out of that establishment. Maybe Kira's hanging out in the back room, taking her treatments and handing out orders.
I mean, and let's be honest, Jessica Biel has not aged a minute in real life.
Was crazy. Like,
I know she looks exactly the same as she did in Flash.
She was definitely had a lot of makeup on, but I was like, man.
But I mean, she hasn't aged at all.
No.
It's insane.
Is she going to be a love interest for Boba?
No, I think that she's going to be
somebody was speculating.
I think she's going to be a foil. I think that she's going to be. Hopefully, she's not just in one episode. I hate it when they like stunt cast and just have like a person in one episode. You would think like a Jessica Biel deserves to be in more than one episode. I mean,
they'll have her more.
Yeah, they'll have her in.
Speaking of Easter eggs, you mentioned Matt Berry earlier.
Yeah, Matt Berry. Yeah,
Matt Berry was 8D8.
Oh, he was. Oh, he wasn't the Trandoshan. He was the droid.
The Trandoshan. The Mock Shays.
I think it was Rodriguez. Wasn't it?
Yes, Rodriguez was
Yeah.
the Trandoshan.
That's
You're
right.
Earl.
That's right. Yeah.
But 8D8 was Matt Berry, and 8D8 is the droid in Return of the Jedi that's
Yeah.
branding the feet of the Gronk droid.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
and pulling the
Yeah.
down.
That was actually.
And it was funny
8D8.
because initially last week after this episode came out, IMDb had that robot listed as somebody else, but the closed captions on Disney Plus when he spoke had him as 8D8. And so I'm looking at it now, and it has been updated that he is 8D8.
So, I mean, for an old school cinema guy like I am, I loved the Ray Harryhausen, the new
Yes,
Oh, that was awesome.
creature that we
you
got.
mean Goro from Mortal Kombat?
Yeah, Goro from Mortal Kombat is basically what he looked like.
Or the
He
John
kinda-
Jonas from John Carter or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
The,
He
four-armed
was definitely
Martian.
CG at points, but he moved like you said, like a Ray Harryhausen.
They-
creature
and
at
that was
times.
Stop
intentional.
motion feel to it.
Yeah.
It
That was
very
definitely a
intentional.
purpose.
And they did that with the little dog creature too. I mean, you could tell it was CG, but they also made him have a movement that looked stop motion.
Mhm.
What are those stupid creatures called? I've got one over there on my shelf. I just
I know
can't
what you're
remember
talking about.
the little dog creature. That
I knew his name last Wednesday.
Hold on, I know what it is.
Pizza dog. Oh wait, wrong.
Pizza dog.
Lucky.
Lucky pizza dog. Previously, I the one I have got was the pet to one Poggle the Lesser. Poggle the Lesser. Yeah, a massive, yeah.
Massive, not a mastiff, but a massive.
See Fetmatic?
Yep,
Fetmatic
see,
always.
Right
I'm
on
glad
time.
Fetmatic showed up. He's always here for the massive. Yeah, so I like the style that they're doing because it's definitely. I mean, Favreau is an old school guy.
Mhm.
It's and Rodriguez is too. Those guys have been doing it a long time. They had to have been around in the 80s when and early 70s, late 70s, early 80s with all that Ray Harryhausen stuff. I mean, because it's clearly a throwback to all of that.
Oh, and they did
and
some stop
that's
motion
been the
stuff.
most-
And, sorry,
Go ahead. No. Go ahead.
I was gonna say they brought in one of the old guys who worked on Star Wars to do some stuff in season 2 of Mando. So I'm sure that's been kind of a thing that they've worked on for a bit. So
I like it. Even if it was CG, I mean, they still made it look really cool.
They made
with
it
the stop
juddery
motion.
and
yeah. I dug it. I guess the big sort of cliffhanger of the episode in a way is who is the mayor going to be. There's all the jokes that it's going to be Watto, but it's not going to be. It's not going to be Watto. It's not going to be Watto.
We're gonna be digging now with Harry
It's money.
The Boba.
Oh god!
I had a theory prior to actually just now a minute ago. I muted it and checked it out. I had a theory going into this because beforehand, the way the trailer was set up, it was to look like that Ithorian that we see is the mayor.
Yeah, I don't
think
think that's. Yeah,
and I thought that was also a misdirect. And somebody posted on Twitter last week or whenever the trailer dropped that the closed captions on the trailer say mayor saying the whatever. And I said, but here's the thing: we use voiceovers in trailers all the time in the wrong place to throw people off. So I had said I don't think the Ithorian is the mayor.
Could
be. Verizon Wireless did whatever their little event was. There was some sort of Verizon something event today, and they had like an 8-minute clip of different things that Verizon is partnered with. And one of them, they showed like a 15-second preview of, I think, what is tomorrow's episode. And we have Boba standing there talking to that Ithorian, and the Ithorian seems to be saying to him, if you're going to be the head of the family, you've got to, whatever. So I may be off on that. But prior to this, I thought the mayor thing was a misdirect and that the mayor had the potential. Actually, my long shot hope was that the mayor would be Talon Card.
Great
EU callback.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Garrison, you can ask your dad about Talon Card. He'll hook you up.
Okay.
Talon Card's old school. Roth is calling his shot that he thinks.
And
Kira
see, that's
is the
another,
mayor.
that's another realistic. Hold on, I want to stop in here for a minute. Kira has been mentioned twice, and Garrison
is not a fan.
Yeah, I want to hear about this.
Whoa. Well, no. No, I love me some Emilia Clarke. I've been texting with my friends like, I hope Emilia Clarke shows up in the show.
But when I said it and when Ross said it, I felt like there was a negative reaction.
When you said it, I was going to bring up the fact that my friend sent me this, like, it was around the time we were talking about the coin thing. My friend,
okay.
when the shield guys showed up, he immediately sent me a text. Those are Crimson Shields. That could be Crimson Dawn. And I was like, the one thing I love about this show is it's bringing theories back, at least in my friend group.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. No, you're right. You're right.
And I'm having a lot of fun with those guys because it's all silly, stupid stuff. But
I'm wrong 99.9% of the time when it comes to
What
that
about
kind of
that
crap.
symbol that we saw?
Yeah, that was interesting. Have we seen that symbol before?
I don't think so. And I did a little digging the other night when it came up, whatever I was watching somebody else talk about this. In an L, but it's not in Huttese is what it is. In Huttese, there's a symbol that looks like a J and an L that's a K. And then there's also I can't remember now if it's Tatooine basic. There's two languages. Huttese is one of them. And there's a second one that has characters. And in both of those, the K looks like that J and L thing.
Interesting.
So if that's the possibility, then I don't know what is a K.
I mean, it's obviously Talon Card.
Well, Card. I mean, let's go. If it's Card, I'm going to celebrate with a bottle of champagne when Card shows up on this show.
You're talking about the little spray painting thing they were doing.
Yeah, the spray painting.
Yeah, the farmhouse that, of course, looked dramatically like the Lars homestead.
It did intentionally. Yeah, I guess they all look like that. I mean, I know that the intent, or at least I assume the intent is to eventually bring a lot of this Star Wars underworld concept, the whole 1313 underworld concept, like bring all of these groups together in a live action show.
Can we get Paul Bettany?
Right, exactly.
Is he still out there?
Did he die?
Dryden Voss died.
Yeah, Dryden Voss died. Well, I guess
no one's ever really gone.
No one's ever really gone. He may come back with half a robot body.
He had a robot with half of their head missing. So
decraniated.
That's right.
Those are the decraniated. Exactly.
I think you're right, Michael. And I think there's also, and I think that, again, just talking about different theories, and I love that, Garrison said, it brings back the theorizing with all age groups, and it brings back almost what I grew up with in the 90s and 2000, the water cooler TV conversations. I don't go to work and talk about this because nobody at work cares about Star Wars, but like with y'all and on Twitter and all these places that we are now, theorizing, guessing, being excited to say, what could it possibly be? Who's the mayor? Who's the Tusken? Who's this thing? I think it creates the opportunity to wonder more than we do. And especially because we don't get it all at once. Because if you give it to me all at once, I'm going to watch it all at once. That's just the way it works.
Exactly. Yeah. Like
and I really like that we're getting it week to week.
It builds anticipation.
For sure. Yeah. It builds time for conversation. It builds community, to be perfectly honest, because we're doing this. People are listening to this. We're talking about it in groups online. Except for Earl. I mean, we know Earl doesn't do those things.
Come on, Earl.
But Earl's talking about it around the surgical table, so it's fine.
Yeah, I mean, jeez.
Got the spam bots in chat.
I know. I love it. Hey, we've never had spam bots.
Blowing up.
You start talking about the Book of Boba Fett, and you get the spam bots in the chat.
Spam bots in. But I'm sorry, I got sidetracked for a second. What I was going to say is the theories and the different things people have talked about, the connecting points. There's a part of me that has felt like this show, absolutely, so say we all, is the connecting point between, I feel like Book of Boba Fett is partially a bridge between Mandalorian and the Ahsoka series. And I have said all along, I think the potential for, and my guess is for Sabine Wren to show up in this series as the bridge gateway.
As the bridge.
Because we got it in Mandalorian. She's the bridger. Of course, we get an Ahsoka episode in Mandalorian, but we get the drop of Grand Admiral Thrawn. We get the things that are
the
setting up the Ahsoka series.
Yeah,
we know that Sabine has been cast. We know the other things. So I feel like this show, of course, a lot of people have called Book of Boba Fett Mando season 2.5.
Yeah. I mean, it's in the Mando universe.
But I think it works for both of those because I think I've said this.
Yeah.
I've said this. Yeah, it's a lot like Civil War. And I said this before. One of my two big theories are that by the end of this, Din shows up to help Boba with whatever the big problem is.
Yep.
And Boba dies, which gives Din Slave One to start Mando season 3 because Din doesn't have a spaceship.
He doesn't have a ship.
He doesn't have a
Dude,
ship. So that's
love
my
it.
big
Calling your
theory.
shot.
That's my shot. That's the one I'm calling.
That's
No,
awesome.
I think that. Yeah, there you go.
You should have saved that for Friday, man.
But also, I said it with Pete 2 weeks ago, so we're fine.
Oh, okay.
But then the other one is I think that it does create a bridge towards, most especially Ahsoka, because that fits in the timeline. Obi-Wan's going to be a different timeline. Andor's going to be a different timeline.
Right.
But it's setting up the things that are going forward from there. So I think Sabine shows up at some point, and that gives us the tease towards the Ahsoka series.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but again, 99% of the time I'm wrong about this.
I love it. I love that we have Star Wars back on television.
Same.
I mean, this seems like probably the way that Lucasfilm was going to go for a minute, and then get back into theatrical later. But I mean, we've got so many shows. 2022 is going to be so stacked with Star Wars content.
So let me ask this question because this is the right group to ask it to.
Yeah.
Sorry, I keep taking over the hosting job.
No, you're fine, man.
You guys are all movie guys.
Right.
Especially given that you do Deucecast, that y'all are big, all the stuff you do with movies.
Yeah.
Several people have said recently, what if Star Wars stays away from movies because we've ended the big thing? And so the focus on Star Wars going forward is series.
Mm-hmm.
That's hard because I know the big event thing of going to a movie, but movies have become so much more at home and personal. And I know there's a whole thing about home releases, all that. Does it kill you if you were told tomorrow you're not going to have any more Star Wars in a theater? All the rest of your Star Wars was going to be quality series. Are you happy?
Okay. Here's what I'll say.
Got Mikey sweating.
I know. Here's what I'll say.
That's good. That means there's a good response coming.
I think because we know, and I'm going this in a weird way here. I'm going to get to a point, but this episode of Book of Boba Fett, for the first time, I could really notice the volume. I really kind of noticed it and felt
this episode you did.
Yeah, I mean,
that
especially
may have been Russ.
I guess I just didn't look close enough.
I felt it a little bit. I need the theatrical. They're always going to spend more money on a theatrical release and go out. Not that the volume isn't amazing technology.
We need some IMAX.
Once you know that's what they're using, you kind of just feel it for some reason. I at least I did in this episode. And for me, I think there's a sense of pride a little bit in saying that Star Wars is a theatrical experience. I want Star Wars. The joke used to always be, well, Star Trek's a TV show, Star Wars is a movie. I mean, it's that's kind of the way it's always been historically. I mean, sure, there's been Star Trek movies from time to time, but they never did as well as Star Wars in theaters. I mean, it was just not a thing for them, and they always had this home on TV. I think there's certainly room for Star Wars to be on Disney Plus, and it's going to be that way, and I get it, but I don't want them to abandon the theatrical roots of Star Wars.
And I agree with you. I was wondering, especially with a very movie heavy group of people.
Yeah.
But also seeing the quality that we get. So I love a balance. Obviously, I love. If we could get
my thing is, I would say I love the quality of the TV shows, but I would hate for the movies to have if they're going to do a movie, it's got to be high quality.
Yes.
And honestly, we see that because we've had a lot more movies. We see that in the MCU. We see the Marvel movies versus the Marvel TV shows.
You can see the difference.
And I think that's absolutely right. And it's interesting now that, of course, what we're getting. Sorry if you're watching now and haven't seen No Way Home. We're getting crossover now at this point between TV and movies, which is creating a whole different, other thing. So I think there is room for them to each go in their own route, but I don't want to get rid of either one, to be honest.
Yeah. I was about to say it's kind of the ultimatum is the only thing that throws me off. I can't say no movies.
Right.
But I will say I personally
makes it easier to tolerate not having as many movies if we've got shows to work on.
Yeah, personally, I do like them focusing more on Disney Plus though, and making the movies more event things.
Right. Absolutely.
And honestly, my dream would be for them to do an event Mandalorian film towards the end of this run of the show. I would love to go in the theater or the communal experience.
Yep, that's it right
Ryan
there.
nailed it.
Yeah.
It's a communal event.
Yeah,
Mhm.
when you go, we could do that with a final Mandalorian thing or something like that in the
Yeah.
future. But
6 seasons in a movie.
Yeah.
exactly.
I mean,
Yeah,
look,
community.
you cannot capture, like, for those of us that went on Thursday night to see No Way Home, you cannot capture that crowd at home. I
That's
mean,
true.
I even went on Saturday. I went 2 days later, in
and
the
I'm
middle
sure
of the
there were
day,
still people that
and,
were like,
like,
yes.
when that person that I just kind of talked about showed up,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
stood up like I scored a touchdown. Like,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
lots
I
of other
mean,
people did too. They cheered,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
so and so Brian also, he said it again. He said, I prefer to watch at home. I have a good home theater. There are no kids on their cell phones. I feel
Right,
that,
yeah.
and as a dad of a certain age and time demands and schedules in
Yeah,
life,
yeah,
like, I appreciate the convenience, but at its core, you also can't replace the ability to have that wow, holy crap moment in a theater with a bunch of people. I think back to Endgame.
Yes.
You know, in Endgame, the big moments that happened towards the end of that film in the theater, that's probably my favorite movie theater experience of my life, was those big moments, because it was
Huge.
raw and emotional and all
Hey,
that kind
Melissa.
of stuff. And the other ones I had earlier in life, I was younger and didn't appreciate them as much. So,
Yeah.
you know, it's a balance thing, no doubt.
Yeah, and as much as Rhett says that he hates The Last Jedi, that moment when the Holdo maneuver happened,
Oh yeah.
Yep.
he and I leaned forward and looked at each other
He
when
was
we were
so
in the
excited.
theater that first night, and we were like, "What the crap
Cheers,
is
Rhett.
this?"
Cheers to
Yeah,
you, buddy.
so exactly. But all right, we've got another show. Or another TV show we've got to talk about here. So I'm going to give. I
Not
know,
Star Wars.
Earl's like,
Earl. We got
I'm going to
Yellowstone.
bed.
We got to do
We got to
Yellowstone.
talk about all the Twi'leks.
No,
Oh.
we don't have to talk about every single
All the Twilight movies. What?
Yeah, exactly. Garrison, we're gonna let you go for Yellowstone. So tell the people where they can find you.
You can find me on Twitter at SUPASH3. You can find me on Letterboxd at GRyfun, RYFUN. You can find me on the Deucecast Discord, and that's about it for right now.
Awesome. Oh, Fetmatic with the ultimatum right here at the end. They better not kill Boba. Ugh.
feel like the
Ugh.
name
You don't know
says
what
it all.
Fetmatic will do.
Yeah, the name does say it all. Fetmatic
Right,
might
says it
just
all.
you might lose it. Nick, please.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to give you the opportunity to plug your new venture, and whatever else you want to plug. So go ahead.
Absolutely. Really, the easiest thing to do is find me on all the social medias at WillsPod, Podcast of the Wills. We just started our canon study of Return of the Jedi this past Sunday with Mark Newbold, who's the editor-in-chief of Fantatrax. He's written for StarWars.com, Star Wars Insider. Super, super fun. We watched the first 22 minutes of Return of the Jedi. We talked about the themes that we got out of that. What do we see in there? I've had a slight schedule change for this Sunday. My guest had a emergency something come up, so I do have a guest for this Sunday. We will be on Sunday night, 8 p.m. Central as normal, but starting after this week, we're changing things up a little bit. I have partnered with my buddy Pete at the Around the Galaxy podcast, and he and I are basically teaming up to share a podcast stream, to share a Patreon feed, and we're going to alternate weeks. So one week you get Around the Galaxy, which Scott, Garrison's dad, has been on. I've been on a couple times. I know, Mikey, you're a Patreon subscriber to Pete and Around the Galaxy.
I am.
Super great interview show. He and I are very, very similar and do a bunch of the stuff on our shows very similarly, but also with our own spin. So we basically said, let's team up, let's share resources, let's, create some ways to have some creative overlap. So pretty soon, my Sunday nights my live recordings will be for our patrons. The audio podcasts that come out every other week will always be free for both of our shows. Pete also does every Saturday morning Disturbances in the Force, which is a 5-minute no spin Star Wars news show. What's the news? What's going on? 5 minutes catches you up. Like I said, no spin, no clickbait. Just this is what's going on.
That's right up your alley, Earl. If you want Star Wars
it's really
news,
great. You should check it
5
out.
minutes. It's a 5-minute show of Star Wars news. Yeah,
and legitimately 5 minutes, and you're muted. So, but then also Friday night,
5 minutes.
That's right.
You can do it. Well, and also this Friday night at 7 p.m. Central on the Around the Galaxy podcast or YouTube channel, not for patrons, open for everybody. Streaming Star Wars is coming back, and this is a show that Pete did a couple years ago. And basically, it'll be he and I on Friday nights for an hour going forward. Whatever the streaming Disney Plus Star Wars thing is of the moment, whether it's Boba, whether it's Kenobi, whether it's Bad Batch, Andor, Ahsoka, all the things we've got going forward. kind of like sports radio, but for Star Wars. So check it out. And like I said, the easiest thing to do is go to @WillsPod on all your social medias, and then you can get all the other details from there.
Well, Garrison and Nick, thank you both so much for joining us. Criterion Garrison up there.
Dude, look at that
thank
shirt.
you guys for
speaking of people I need in Book of Boba Fett, Cobb Vanth, let's go.
Yep, exactly. We will of course be back next week for chapter 2 of Book of Boba Fett with
We're
Garrison.
Still reading the book.
We are still reading the
Yes.
book page by page.
Just ready to prelude.
Yeah.
So in the meantime, we're going to take just like a 1-minute break and then talk about what was a fantastic Yellowstone finale. So we'll be back in just a minute. Nick and Garrison, thanks so much again, guys. We are back. I've got the cowboy hat on. It's the finale. Oh my gosh. What a freaking amazing episode. I don't get all the hate that it's getting. I don't get it.
Is it getting hate?
It's getting hate.
It is.
I don't understand. I don't understand why. I mean, it's really strange. We'll get into it. I mean, but first, let's do some introductions. Roth, what's up, buddy? Welcome.
How we doing?
To the finale. Yeah,
I was afraid I wasn't going to miss it. I've been sick the last 3 days.
Again?
I don't know. I don't know what's. I just got back from Arizona. I think I might have caught something down there.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't been out very much.
Can I make a suggestion?
Zoa helps the immune system,
dude. It's got. Listen to this. Listen to what the ingredients are here. It's got aminos, camu.
Okay.
100% daily vitamin C.
Okay.
What?
B vitamins, antioxidants, electrolytes. I mean,
you'll never be sick again.
This cures what ails you.
Yeah,
Ivermectin. It's got a lot.
I didn't have. I didn't have COVID, but I am blaming COVID because my immune system used to be amazing because I was out doing stuff, and now I'm not. I'm stuck in my house.
Yeah. Well,
so I blame that. But this is my first day where I felt good the entire day. So
that's right.
I just watched the episode a few hours ago too.
Oh, you just watched it. Oh wow. Yep. Okay.
Oh man, so you'll be fresh. I'm trying to remember. There's so much.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, dude, there was a lot going on. So we will try and go chronologically, but it's really tough with this episode because there was just so much different storylines that they were, That's right. That's right, Nick. That's chilled amoxicillin. That's exactly right. Shaken, not stirred. So what I will say, one storyline that I'm done with, and I think I've said it a lot, is the Casey and the Monica storyline. I could care less.
Hey,
I don't care.
He was having a vision quest.
He saw the end, so hopefully that is a good thing.
He saw the end. I mean, hey, I mean I don't know. I love, and the stuff that I love, the Native American stuff that I love in the show is Mo and Rainwater and that type of storyline, and they completely abandoned that this season. Like, kind of did. I mean, Rainwater was in it and Mo was in it, but they kind of just
the saving it for another.
I know. It's a slow burn. I mean, Nick's got his vision quest means he's coming back to the Dutton Ranch, and she are going to be done. Oh, pick family over. I hope he does. I kind of hope he does.
I do too.
I love Monica.
I think I was pretty close to spot on my guess about the vision quest. It was it's going to show him he's going to have to choose the natives or his family.
Now, I did love the brother that we haven't seen since season 1.
Yeah.
Dave Annabelle is the actor's name, who's been in a ton of stuff. But that was pretty hardcore. And he started like bleeding out of his mouth and stuff.
Yeah, that was crazy.
That was pretty crazy. Not much music in this episode. Like, there was a score, but not much. Like, so they held back a little bit, which I think worked for the episode.
But a lot of emotion.
One real song at the end. The rest of it was in the background stuff. I can hit that real quick since you brought it up.
Yeah, do it.
To Keep From Being Found by Hayes Carl was played in the background. Beat Me Down by Wade Bowen was played in the background. And The Light by Tanner Urzy was played in the background. And then the last song at the end of the episode was Peace in the Pines by Colton Moore and the Clever Few.
Colton Moore and the Clever Few. I liked it. So, I mean, Roth, what was I mean, you're most fresh here. I mean, I watched it the next night. No, I watched it at 2 a.m. On the night of the episode. Yeah, wow. I watched it at 2 a.m. and I've only seen it once.
That's a good point about the vision quest.
Oh yeah.
I thought about this too. I don't know about they're losing, but I thought it was going to be the daughter.
No, now wait a minute. I thought that was supposed to be the wolf. But you're saying that it was
both. It's a vision quest. It can be all of them.
Oh, it's both.
It's telescoping.
Okay. I like that. I like that a lot. That's interesting.
Vision.
Yeah, because she did look kind of like a mix, didn't she? Yeah. So that's interesting. That's sad. That is really sad.
I think it's the daughter. I didn't think about her losing the daughter though. That's interesting.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Well, I think that's what it's going to take.
In a mental institution and join the Duttons.
Well,
and then go with that other girl.
Yeah. I think this is the most lost I have ever been. Oh, I'm sorry. Well, he doesn't watch the show. I don't know.
I know. There's nothing we can do for you.
Sorry, buddy. So Roth, how do we think? Well, gosh, the stuff with Mia. Oh man, stuff with Mia and Emily. Holy cow!
Man, she came in swinging.
I didn't see that coming at all. I thought.
Well, first of all, Jimmy comes back. Let's go back.
Yeah, that's true. Jimmy does come back.
At the beginning,
and brings her.
And brings her, and that was the surprise.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they're engaged, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and they're engaged.
And so, but before that, we see Laramie. We see a shot of Laramie somewhere, I think, but I don't think we saw Mia. But it was setting us up. And in the back of my head, I was like, okay, so Laramie's there. Jimmy's probably about to come back, which means Mia's probably there somewhere also.
Yeah.
This is what I had in the back of my mind. I can't remember now if we saw Mia before we saw Jimmy or not. But yeah, that was quite the...
when I saw all of them, I was really annoyed and thought that they shouldn't be there because they're not supposed to be there. And they even joke about that. Like, you guys aren't even supposed to be here because they're beating him at poker. And he's like, you guys aren't even supposed to be here.
I did like that they brought it up.
I'm glad they brought it up.
The rules. Isn't that what they said? Something like that.
Yeah, since when do we follow the rules?
Mhm.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I don't even know if they said something to that, but it was implied at least.
Personal, like, crazy revelation about the actress that plays Teeter is that's Michael Landon's daughter.
Oh, we knew that last year. Did you not know that?
I had no idea.
Yeah,
no, I
knew
didn't know.
that. I'd read that
No.
somewhere.
I had no idea that was Michael Landon's daughter. I was like, dang, Highway to Heaven. What's up?
Tater.
Tater. Yeah.
Little House on the Prairie. Okay.
Yeah.
Now I know who that
Oh, yeah,
is.
Michael Landon's the...
Yeah. I know him from Highway to Heaven. Wasn't Highway to Heaven? Wasn't that him?
Yeah, he did that too.
Yeah, that's like what I know him
Little
from.
House on the Prairie is what I know too.
Whatever. Little House on the Prairie. I never watched that.
To be honest, I would be okay if Teeter, like all the girls, had been kicked out in some ways. Because it would be more consistent with Rip and Mr. Dutton to say, look, this is too much trouble.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
look what they did for Lloyd.
Even when Jimmy and Mia are fighting, John's there and sees it all. Which I liked the majority of this whole storyline kind of wrapping up and whatnot, because it did show some real character growth from Jimmy.
Yeah.
Even
Jimmy's
talking
like
to
a cowboy.
John, he wasn't really afraid of John like he was even at the beginning of the season.
Yeah. I think it was a growth thing. I mean,
And
I really like Jimmy's arc in this.
Yeah.
How much time has passed? Do we have any idea between like the beginning of the season and now? It seems like it's been quite some time.
It feels like it's been a long time, especially, I mean, because Casey's been gone so long. I mean, it does feel, now it's hard because they're not showing seasons pass.
Right.
Like they're not going like fall, winter. I mean, so it's hard to like tell how much time is supposed to have passed.
They didn't have a
I'm
Christmas
thinking maybe
episode.
3 months. Maybe he just went for a summer.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe he just went for a summer or something like that. Yeah, that could be.
Yeah.
I did not expect Emily to be able to fight so well. She looked like a little beanpole.
Yeah.
And she took it straight to Mia. And it was pretty vicious.
Mia took it straight to Jimmy's chin as well.
yes, she did.
Wow,
yes,
she clocked him.
Yeah, she clocked him. That's because her daddy taught her how to fight.
Yes.
In real life. You know,
Yes.
that's. But I do feel bad for her though, because this is all seemed very blindsided by it in her mind. But to Jimmy's point, he's like, "Look, you said if I went, we were done." So
yeah, I don't blame Jimmy at all.
What's a guy supposed to do?
And like, this is going to sound like
Team
it's
Emily.
very personal, but I promise it's not. It's like she does something and then gets upset that he didn't fight back on it.
Right.
And he's like, "What do you mean? I was supposed to do not what you were supposed to.
You're a young man, Roth.
Like, come on.
Like that's what women want. Women want you to fight for them. You'll learn it eventually, Roth. But it's Earl knows.
I know. It's like they want you to do something. When you do it, then you're in trouble that you did it.
Exactly.
And then you're like, but I thought you said you wanted me to do it. Well, or if you don't do it, they say don't do it. And you go, I'm not going to do it. And then they're like
the best scene from TikTok Boom, the fight scene where they're singing a song. That was a great scene.
It is. It's the same concept. My gosh, what else happened? Okay, so
let's start at the beginning with Beth.
They resolved that much quicker than I thought they would.
Yeah.
Like the Beth and John thing. That relationship got resolved very quickly thanks to Rip. Rip talking some sense into Beth. Dude, Rip is awesome. Therapy.
That's the song, yeah.
Yeah, that's the name of the song.
Yeah.
You say when I say, however it goes.
Yeah.
I'll have to hear that again.
This is Tick Tick Boomcast here. But
I've watched that scene like 5 times.
I was surprised that they resolved that so quickly. It kind of makes sense because there's so much else that they need to do with Beth in this episode that they needed to kind of resolve that relationship quickly. But it was a bit surprising. I mean, because usually when Beth gets her mind set on something like leaving, and they didn't do anything. They didn't do anything with the Beth and the Walker thing. They kind of like squelched that pretty quick. Other than she wanted to know about prison, but I mean,
so a lot of people online had issues with this, that they squashed it so fast. And
just because they had so much to do.
right. And like, I don't have an issue with this being solved so fast.
Yeah.
My issue is kind of with the season as a whole, because it does really feel like the stakes aren't there. And this was just another thing where like, oh, well, something happens and then it doesn't end up mattering.
And then it's resolved.
But like this issue, like I get it. Like it's a family fight. Those things happen. And then you sleep on it. And then you're like, okay, like we were both probably took it a little too far. We're both right in certain ways. And you get over it.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, exactly.
Well,
so in that sense, maybe it's a bit more realistic than is portrayed on television. In in television, maybe they don't resolve a relationship. And I mean, John was like, I loved that John was like, I love you, whatever, you're my daughter. This is your home. I love you.
Oh man, that got me a little bit.
Oh man, Kevin Costner this season was just so good.
Comes back and says a similar thing.
Yeah.
About another character.
Another character, exactly.
We'll
which was interesting. So a couple of storylines that happened also very quickly is they had Caroline Werner come in and really lay in to that. This is the Jackie Weaver that I've told you guys about all season. How if you see that movie Animal Kingdom that she's in, she's got this fire in her, and I'm glad they finally allowed it to come out. It took them the whole season basically, but she took it to Beth. And that's the first time like Beth kind of just like let it happen too. She kind of just took it and left. I mean, because she knows
she met her match a little bit.
She may have met her match, because I think next season's going to be pretty rough on Beth. I think we're not going to have a very easy time with Beth.
Which is good timing for me, because one of the notes I have down is I have decided to become team anti-Beth.
Anti-Beth?
Like the character anymore.
Yeah,
I'm done with the character. I think it's not good anymore.
I don't know.
I think the mistake that they have made is every single thing that they have Beth do is so mean-spirited, so evil.
Yeah.
And then you only get it a little bit when she does a nice thing, maybe with her dad or with Rip. But everything
doesn't even watch the show. He doesn't even watch the show.
Like everything that she does, even if it's a nice thing, is still ruined by a bad thing, whether it be this wedding, kidnapping the freaking priest.
A little much.
It's just too much.
Oh yeah, that was a bit much. Like kidnapping a priest at gunpoint. That's maybe like stepping over a line, I guess.
If they were to pull her back and let her be like a normal human being most of the time, and then when she does go really aggressive and really mean to the people that maybe deserve it, maybe don't deserve it, but are against her, then that means
more powerful.
More. Yeah, and it's a
that's the thing is like she doesn't ever seem to grow. Now with the kids, she's grown a little bit, but she still made him cry when he's like,
she's
hey,
still
Mom.
Pretty hard on the poor kid though.
The kid just wanted it, and he's like, I'm never going to be your mother.
She was a little bit hard on him. I
mean, I like
kid's
Carter in this episode for some reason.
I think Carter's growing on me a bit. I'm glad that he is cultivating a relationship not only with John. He and John have got a really good rapport, but also he and Lloyd have got a really good rapport. And let's just talk about Forey Smith.
Man, that scene with Forey Smith.
This dude was just a cowboy in real life. This dude was not even like an actor. That scene with him and Jimmy, good grief. Like he's crying. I'm like, good grief, this is awesome. It's such good acting from a dude that like doesn't even know what he's doing, really, probably.
Jimmy, I didn't know it.
Yeah.
And even the last scene with Jimmy where he just walks away and like takes his hat off, like that was even good too.
Because Cowboys don't say goodbye. Cowboys don't say goodbye. That's why.
10 feet under.
Not 10 feet under. Exactly.
And I love that scene, even with Rip, like at the end, just saying, Jimmy, I'm proud of you, or whatever he said.
Exactly. There was a lot of really good stuff in the episode, obviously. Beth.
Look what, Nick's right, man. Forey Smith.
Yeah, totally. I mean, and it'll probably never get like recognition, but we'll at least give it recognition. I mean, because he's such like an
F.
If he would like to come on the show, I will give him some sort of reward.
Okay,
whether it be like the Coors Banquet over there or
The
something.
Coors banquet,
Yeah.
the banquet, exactly.
Yeah.
So Beth felt like she needed to get married legally, at least, because of some of the things that she was going to have to accomplish in the episode. Now, I think that I know you guys are anti-Beth, but you've got to have a character like that to take care of the dirty work that needed to be done in this particular episode, which is, talk to the prison guy, and find out what she needed to find out about Garrett, I guess, basically is what happened there.
Yeah, she was finding all about from Walker about conjugal visits and
Right. Yeah, exactly.
what's a small weapon that
Yeah, exactly. But she basically got the information that she needed from that guy and gave him like a speech, which that was a bit unnecessary. I'm like, that guy knows he's just going to rot in prison. You don't need
Right.
to tell him about it. I mean, I don't know. I mean, that was a bit much. But she has basically got Jamie where she's always wanted him now. Which she owns him. I mean, she owns everything about him. She gave him 3 options, and she said, "You should not have taken this third option because I own you now." Because again,
well, I do like that
Yeah.
wait, was this before or after she talked to him? Well, we do find out that it wasn't really Jamie; it was his dad, right?
Yeah.
To set this up.
Yeah, exactly.
And when she realized that, there was a moment when she pulled back and looked at him, but it didn't abate her hate at all.
No, because he withheld information.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
once he covered for his dad. I still don't believe it, and we'll never know now, but because he's dead. I was a bit shocked, but not surprised.
Yeah.
Like I figured that's what the third option was, is that
Well,
he was gonna.
hasn't Jamie had killings and almost he's the most
Not
passive,
every season. Not every season. He killed that reporter.
Yeah.
I think he's on just in 2 seasons. He killed the reporter, and then he's killed his pseudo father, and that's it. I don't think he's
His
and now
Fino. Father in name only.
father in name only, exactly. But it does surprise me that John still holds such a love for Jamie. That's a bit surprising because of all the crazy stuff Jamie has done to him.
Well, but I mean, he raised him,
I know, but it's just it's interesting that John, we're seeing that side of John.
I'm still holding out for the redemption.
But
not now, though. I mean,
what's the guy gonna do?
He's a DA who's committed 2 murders.
And of course, I had a
Beth will
laugh.
eventually kill him.
At about 2:45 in the morning when it happened, they drove over that border into Wyoming, and I had a little chuckle about it. Just because every time I see that, I think of you, Roth. I'm like, yes, they're driving a dead body to Wyoming again, as
That's
you
where
do.
it's done.
That's where it's done, as you do. And she got the picture to prove it, so he is owned. So obviously there is going to be a point where John and Jamie have a confrontation and a conversation about him withholding the information, though, next season. I mean, we're probably going to have to see that happen. Even though Garrett's dead now, I mean, it's certainly going to come to a head with those 2 guys. I mean, wouldn't you think?
Yeah. I'm disappointed it happened this way, I think.
Did you want them to hold that till next season? Like this?
Yeah, I just think we should have had John killing Garrett.
That would have been better. I agree with that.
I would have liked that better. I think that those 2 actors in the same room, we didn't get enough of that this season.
That one scene.
Exactly. Well, didn't they have a scene last year too? I don't know.
I don't think so.
Maybe this was it. Maybe this was like the only time
scene together that I remember.
Yeah, this was the only time.
I do wish that the Beth John
exactly. Not enough cow
distance.
Yeah,
that's very true. I just kind of wish they had let that be sort of a cliffhanger for next time. That
it would have been nice.
That Beth and John are not resolved yet.
You wanted that even to be held till next season?
Well, yeah, I think so. And that Rip's kind of torn between his loyalty to John and Beth. That would have been an interesting thing to me. Like, which way is Rip? Maybe she's saying you need to come with me, and he's like, well, no, and just maybe it even causes a little rift with them too. I just felt like they just pushed this season so fast.
Well, they resolved a lot of stuff in this last episode a little bit quicker than I think everybody thought they were going to. Because
I'll tell you this though, I like the Judge and John scenes.
That stuff was awesome.
I like that Judge, and I'm glad that it wasn't something where John comes in and like throws something in his office and pulls up. You know what I mean? Like it was just conversation.
It was a conversation. Exactly.
I think we found our next Supreme Court justice.
Yeah, exactly. That dude.
He was awesome.
I feel bad for Summer though, going to prison. I'm not a huge fan of that. I mean, the judge was making good points about like why he was doing the sentencing, but I still think it was a little like overstepping.
He was setting a precedent.
He was setting a precedent and using her as, but I'm sure that she'll be back next season. Well, I mean, they admitted that the judge was like, wait till Friday. I mean, that is a frustrating part of our process in this country is, just wait till Friday and we'll make sure all this goes away and she'll do 18 months probation and that's it or something like that. She'll be fine. She'll do some community service and all will be good. So we will have Summer Higgins back next season, it sounds like. I mean, because really looking at everything that they tied up in this episode, the only piece of the puzzle left is going to be this market equities battle that is going to come pretty much probably most of next season. It seems that's going to that Jackie Weaver will be back and be the main antagonist. But I mean,
she's already fired Beth, right?
Oh yeah, Beth's done. Yeah, Beth's been fired. In fact, I mean, she basically threatened Beth that she's going to throw the book at her. I mean, she's coming hard. She committed a lot of fraud, basically,
which is going to be interesting because what state is that going to be tried in? Right? Is that I can't remember where Market Equities is. Is it in Montana or is it in like Salt Lake where that other company that she worked for?
I thought it was in Montana. She moved the office to Montana.
I think so too. So she's got Beth as the AG on her side now, no matter what. So I think that will be some interesting tightroping Taylor Sheridan's going to have to do with. I didn't even know he was in an episode of.
I'm not. Oh, I forgot. You're a big West Wing stan too, aren't you, Roth? I forgot about that.
I am. I'm gonna have to look that up, but I'll look that up after I do the point. It's going to be an interesting tightrope that Sheridan has to walk with the writing of this next season, where Jamie has to do everything that Beth says for him to do, and not get himself thrown in jail, and still have it be realistic.
Yeah.
Realistic-ish. I don't look for the show to be
we don't
in real life.
But. No. I don't totally want that because that doesn't make for an enjoyable show. I need completely crazy, insane things to happen for it to be, a little bit more enjoyable. But I think we'll get a lot more rainwater next season. I mean, I think that whole storyline is going to have to. Oh, this is the episode that. Yeah,
I just found it on IMDb.
Okay.
I don't remember this one. I'm not going to lie.
Wait, is that the name of the episode?
No. The name of we're going all over the place, but it's the West Wing episode.
Okay.
The name of this episode was quite ridiculous and long. Grass on the streets and weeds on the rooftops.
Yeah, that was the name of this episode. It's a little bit much, but it's still good. I do want to mention Beth verbally, like out loud, saying to Jamie's face, like, remember you like took a baby out of my womb, like good grief. I mean, like that scene that she had, and Wes Bentley, God love him, gave her nothing in that scene. Like that dude, I'm struggling with his acting ability in this episode, because she was like, Kelly Riley was like hardcore in that scene, and Wes Bentley stood there just like a stump, like nothing, like, and I don't know, I just didn't feel.
Yeah. Oh.
I know. I just didn't feel like he really was bringing much in that scene, whereas Kelly Riley was like bringing it all, and he's just sort of sitting there like a stump. But whatever.
She must be really strong because it didn't look like she hit him that hard, and he like almost fell out of his chair.
Yeah, he's a little wussy.
He is a little wussy. It's a little bit sad to watch him interact with Beth. You know,
exactly.
It's he's just such a beaten little puppy dog, and you're like, dude, come on.
Because it always happens. He walks into his office, and they're like, "Oh, somebody's in your office." And if I was him, I'd be like, "Well, I'm getting out of here because that's
like, tell me who."
But he's always like, "Well,"
and if you don't tell me who, I know who it is. So goodbye.
yeah, exactly.
Okay, we'll call the police right now.
Can we start a fire?
Yeah, exactly. Oh man, that's I loved that scene because there was a couple of really good. As much as you guys are anti-Beth, I mean, I think that scene was really powerful. I mean, I think that was a really powerful scene to me because it's reminding the audience that how bad of a person Jamie really is, and like what he did to her when they were younger is. Well, and maybe Nick. I mean, Nick has a good point here, but I mean that he's good enough actor to just seem emotionless. Maybe. I don't know. Wes Bentley, whatever. He's all right. I can't even remember where that guy came from originally. But
he's been in some stuff.
I know he's been around a long time.
I didn't even love. I think the moment I really turned on Beth was her wedding because like Rip has this really great like he's following the rules and then she's just like, "Shut up! I'm just going to kiss him." You know, like
yeah.
I'm like, let him do the ceremony. Quit being you kidnapped him to do it.
Well, she had other things in mind. She was, she had some work to do.
I did like the line from John, "Sweetheart, that's a priest. We're not even effing Catholic."
Yeah, that was pretty funny. That was really funny.
That was
and he's like, "Let me at some point give you a proper wedding," and she was like, "Yeah, whatever, Daddy."
Can you go change your dress, honey? Because
Yep. The cook got a good moment in this episode where he's like, "I've been ringing this bell. Where is everybody?
Bring the whiskey out here."
Yeah,
says Teeter.
Says Teeter, exactly. Jimmy, we got to see Jimmy's skills with the rope, and he was like impressing everybody.
Everybody was like, "All right, Jimmy."
Yeah, Jimmy was good. I was surprised that they didn't use this last episode to send Walker over to the 4-6's show because I really thought that I had read somewhere he's going to be in that show, but maybe not because he misses Texas. But
I really thought Mia was going to go over to 4-6.
And I think she still is. I really think that I read also that Eden Brolin was going to be in as sort of an issue. She's going to come after him. Because remember, at the very end, Emily's like, she sure is persistent. I think that's a bit of foreshadowing that she's going to show up in the 4-6 show. Exactly. We'll see. I mean, that'll be interesting.
During that roping scenes, we got some good banter back and forth. I was trying to look for their names, but I cannot remember those guys' names.
You're talking about
Colby, Richards, and
Ryan.
Yes.
Yeah, those two guys had some good lines. You're right.
Yeah, they were. Those guys were good.
And then I liked Emily's reactions to them too. She's like, "Are you two like in a couple?"
Yeah. Laramie was actually pretty funny in this episode.
That was Emily that said it, right?
Yes.
Oh, I thought that was Laramie. No, you're right. It was Emily because she was sort of like a newcomer, so didn't know the dynamic.
Y'all two a couple or something?
Yeah, exactly. I did like Laramie in this episode. She wasn't totally worthless in this episode, so it was okay. If she comes back next season, great. If she doesn't, whatever. I don't know.
She needs to be back.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough, Dr. Earl. Laramie needs to be back. Fair enough.
We need a spinoff show.
Yeah. Getting respect.
The woman from Laramie.
This is good. Jimmy getting respect was everything considering. You and I have been too, Nick. I mean that I wasn't a fan of all this and that was the point that a lot of people gave about this season is they hated the fact that the season was used for a setup of the 4-6 spinoff. But like, what else are they supposed to do? I mean, they can't just. I guess they could have done that in one episode, but then not had Jimmy in the rest of the season. But I think that they wanted to have Jimmy showing growth throughout the season, so they could have that conversation with John and Jimmy at the end, where you don't owe me anything, good luck, that type of thing.
I just love how Michael, back around episode 3 or 4. Okay, this is the last time we're going to see
I know,
him.
and that's why I stopped saying it. That's why I stopped saying it.
This is the last time we'll see Jimmy.
And he was in the whole season. He was in the whole freaking season.
I didn't expect that either, honestly. But I did like his. That was an awesome ending.
Yeah, that was a good scene with him and John. And really, I mean, he had good scenes with all those guys. He had a good scene with John. He had a good scene with Rip. He had a really good scene with Lloyd. So yeah, I mean, all of those scenes were great. And it'll be good. It hopefully people will watch that show now. That because I think that they've evolved that character enough to be not so one-dimensional, and I think that Jefferson White has gotten better as an actor, and so I think it'll. Look, we're gonna watch the show because we're gonna do it from here. So we're gonna do it on
I ain't
Extra.
watching it.
Yes, you are. You've got Paramount Plus.
What
You're
you
gonna
said
watch
about
it.
1883 too.
That's exactly what you said about 1883, which we didn't get an episode.
I'm done with all this stuff.
We didn't get an episode of 1883 this week, thank goodness, because we would be here for 4 hours. But
Yes,
they did have a cool making of, though.
I did not watch it yet.
Yeah, I watched part of it. I haven't watched all of it yet, but it was pretty cool. So I would recommend at least watching that making of before the next episode, because that's what we've got the rest of this portion of Deucecast Extra is 1883 stuff.
They say that the way the wind blows on the blades of grass. I'm sorry, I was going to do a narration from.
Dude, that stuff.
It covers the blood.
All right, what else did we miss? I know there's a lot that we missed.
Carter at the end, it was funny how John was kind of mourning a little bit.
Yeah.
And he comes up and he's like, you told me riding's the way to handle it. Let's go ride.
Yep, that was
I like that John Carter kind of getting the.
I do too. I like it a lot. I think that relationship's gotten really good.
Yeah.
Probably the biggest question this episode asked was, what is chili? And there's it's obviously chili is with beans. Texans don't get to decide what everything is and what everything isn't. It's just meat soup if it's not with beans.
Mikey is a Texan. I
am a Texan, and I have to agree that chili is not with beans.
You're just wrong. What
do you put in it? Just meat?
Yeah, just meat, just ground beef.
Meat. Yeah, meat.
That's
big chunks of tomato. Oh, it's so good. It's so good.
But
yeah,
no
and beans.
No, you don't need to put beans.
Kidney beans. Just get all the beans in there.
No, you
Pinto
don't need
beans. Yeah.
No, that's not how we do it.
It's not chili without beans.
That's not how we do it in
They're
Texas.
literally called chili beans.
That's for everybody else.
It's good we're not in the same room, because Mike could be cutting you right now.
I would be.
He'd be throwing a knife at you.
Throw the knife at me like Lloyd did to Walker.
Like Lloyd to Walker. Man, exactly. I'm trying to think of what else happened. There was so much that freaking happened in this episode.
The debate goes on.
We've covered a lot of it. I missed Rain. I'm sad Rainwater wasn't even in the finale at all. That was pretty lame. But Mo was in it for a millisecond. He was like, "Okay, we're leaving. We're done. Let's go. You're done. You've figured out what you want to."
I agree, Nick.
What is this? Well, okay, let's see. There's a fine line with beans and chili. You can have too many. Much like tomorrow's, exactly. Oh, tomatoes. He meant tomatoes. I thought he was trying to be deep or something. I was like, that's right.
I was like,
I don't think you can have too many tomorrows.
I don't think you can have too many tomorrows. That means you're alive for a really long time.
You only get one tomorrow.
Betty White only needed 13 more.
It's only a day away.
Tomorrow. I'm trying to think of what else we got in this episode.
Yeah, I think we saw that weird flashback of Casey fighting, looked like in the Middle East, but in the snow.
In the snow, but in the Middle East.
It just looked like it was in Texas when they were.
It looked like it was in Montana.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It-
That
it
was
didn't-
weird.
Yeah. It was kind of like, yeah, anyway.
Well, he was just having all those Vision Quest
Mhm.
moments or whatever. I mean, it's basically just showing the audience how much trauma that Casey has had in his life. And he's had a lot of trauma because, I mean, it showed the brother part because he was there when his brother died. And I mean, yeah, that was, and the trying to get him, yeah.
And the other girl.
Well, yes, the other girl. I mean,
That was maybe just a fever dream.
yeah,
I
that
had a
wasn't
few of those.
that wasn't part of the Vision Quest. That was a fever dream. That's right. Yeah, I hope that. I don't think that he's going to cheat on Monica. I think that I think that they showed that the wolf and the little girl, and I like what Nick said earlier that was the daughter. I had not thought about that, and
What if
that's
Monica dies in childbirth or something?
hey, I wouldn't be mad.
Oh,
I mean, I
Monica.
know it's horrible to say.
I mean,
Michael.
she's not a real person. I wouldn't be mad either.
Oh, she's
It's just a character.
She is a
It's just a
wonderful.
Wonderful what? Pain in
I
the
don't know.
butt?
Everything that Monica, yeah, for real. Like Monica really is just a whiner, and really has just manipulated Casey. Their whole relationship really is kind of. I mean, because she's the one that was like cheating on him a little bit with the swim instructor.
Oh, yeah, she was.
Remember the swim instructor? I mean, she's garbage now that I think about it.
Back when she was a university teacher.
Yeah, exactly. Randomly.
Man, remember that
Did they actually
storyline?
cheat, though? I thought they just came close and.
Look, she cheated with her heart. If she
Yes,
didn't cheat
emotionally
otherwise,
cheated.
she emotionally cheated.
Mhm.
Exactly.
Which some would say is just as bad.
Some would.
I wouldn't be mad.
Somehow.
I wouldn't. At the very least, he's leaving her. He's done with her. At the very least, I mean, she's not going to be back.
She's not in the spirit of the wolf.
No, because I think that Nick made a good point earlier where he said that he's gonna have to choose between Dutton's or Monica, and he's gonna choose Dutton's. I mean, as you would. You don't stay with the woman. You choose the family. The family. You stay with the family.
The Gucci. The Gucci.
The Gucci's. I liked the season overall. I understand everyone's complaints, though. I get it. I mean, it's been a bit different season. I think a lot of what happened this season and a lot of the way they had to film this season was COVID. COVID messed it up a lot, and so maybe it was just difficult for them to have a storyline that they maybe really wanted to. I don't know. I mean, because we waited we waited forever for this season. I mean, it took them a long time to get it out. Yeah, I mean, it did. It finished strong. That's a good point. It finished stronger than it started. Yeah.
I mean, Costner really elevated. And
He did.
Costner and Forey Smith and Rick.
Yeah,
really
Kohlhauser,
elevated
all
the
those
show.
guys really elevated their acting. And I like Kelly Riley's acting in it as well. I think she was awesome in it.
And I did love when Rip pulled out the ring and Kelly, I mean, whatever her name is, Beth was not expecting it.
Right.
That was a super sweet moment. Because if you remember, like a season ago or 2 seasons ago, he went to his dead mother's.
I think that was last season. That was either
season.
the penultimate or the finale.
Yeah, and he got the ring. Yeah. That was a cool moment, and I'm glad that they showed us that.
Yeah.
But next season, more Jackie Weaver. I'm ready for it.
I love her, man. She's like,
Yeah.
I'm going to burn the house down. There's not going to be a blade of grass. There's not going to be.
Yes.
I'm going to put an outhouse right over.
Yes.
Dude, she was wearing him out.
Yes, that was so good. I'm glad that they finally let her go like that because they had held her back all season and she had that moment right there. And I was like, yes, now people are getting to see why this woman was nominated for an Academy Award for Animal Kingdom because she is an awesome actress.
We have a question.
TBA.
So, I would gather that it's not soon after 1883.
See, I think 1883 ends, a couple months go by, then the next season of Yellowstone over the summer.
Oh man.
And then the Sixes.
Okay. So you think the Sixes are after the 4th season of Yellowstone?
I do, but I don't think
Okay.
anything with the Sixes is going to be in Yellowstone. I just haven't heard anything about the Sixes being shot.
No, I think it is on that ranch that Taylor Sheridan bought.
I guess I should say I don't know how. I haven't heard about how far they are through it, and I've heard some stuff about they're getting relatively far through Yellowstone. But if they're going to do the Disney Plus model of no breaks in content, we could get it first, and then Yellowstone over the summer.
Yes, I think is the question. Margot Martindale is in a show. She might be in the American version of Animal Kingdom because there's a television show based on the movie. The movie's Australian, and
Is Jackie Weaver Australian?
Jackie Weaver's Australian, and that was the movie that came out several years ago, and then they spun it off, and they're doing a TV show on. And I don't know how many seasons the TV show ran, but Margot Martindale might be in the TV show. I don't know. I haven't watched the TV show. Margot Martindale's a good actress. I like her, but no, Jackie Weaver's a different person. I don't know what Nick's really asking there.
I don't either. That's a very confusing question.
I don't know who Margot is. That
Margot Martindale's a really good actress. She was trying to think of the first thing I saw her in, maybe Justified. Was she in that? I don't know. I can't remember. I'm off track now. Thanks, Nick. Thanks, buddy. But I got nothing else, guys. I thought it was an overall okay season. Not the best season.
I think the finale was. I mean, as much as we've complained about this episode, I really liked.
Oh, I didn't complain about it. I thought it was good. I mean, I didn't complain about it as much as you guys did. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, that's true.
Yeah, see, Margot Martin. I knew I was right about Justified. Yeah, it's same type of character. The Jackie Weaver character in Animal Kingdom, similar to that character in Justified. But yeah, I mean, it makes me look forward. It's not as if I'm like, oh, I'm done with the show. I will be interested because Rhett has been binging and is caught up and has started season 4 now. So he binged like season 1 through 3.
That's why he's not here tonight. He's
in like a 2-month period. He binged those 3 seasons and likes the show a lot. So it'll be interesting to get his perspective so recent after seeing those first 3 seasons on what he thinks about season 4.
When he finishes, we might have to have him on.
We might have to have a special Rhett episode.
Just a special
exactly
standalone. Stop all the presses. Roll out the red carpet.
Because that's because it's been so long since I saw season 3. It's hard for me to remember, everything that happened. But he's been popping into our like friend chat saying, "Oh my gosh, this episode's awesome!" And like, "Oh yeah, I do remember that episode."
I can't remember anything that happened in like season 2.
I know.
No.
Yeah.
Clue.
Season 2. Well, season 2
brothers?
was those were the Beck brothers.
Yeah.
That was those 2 brothers, and Tate's kidnapped.
Okay. Yes,
that's season 2.
Tate being kidnapped.
Season 3 is obviously market equities comes into play, and
and
Rourke
Sawyer.
Yeah, Rourke. Poor Sawyer. Poor Josh Holloway, man. What a way to die. Snake to the face. Feels like forever ago, but it was really not that long ago. Snake to the face, man. It's not the way you want to go. Roth, where can the people find you on the interwebs?
Yes, you can follow me on Twitter at Roth from Wyoming, right there, and Instagram. And then I've got a podcast, the Good Day for a Movie podcast. We were supposed to release our episode last week, and then we were supposed to release it yesterday, and we just released it this afternoon. The whole traveling and being sick thing, and it being 3.5 hours of content that got edited down to 2 hours kind of put a little halter on that. But it was a 2021 review and a 2022 look ahead, so it wasn't that important of an episode to get out. But we do have our next movie watched. We have not reviewed it yet, and that is Casablanca, coming out next month.
Oh, I can't wait to hear that.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Have you ever seen that, Roth?
I had. This is my third time watching it.
So the other 2 guys had not seen it.
They had not. We actually got to watch it in person.
Together.
That's right.
And we did the intro, but the second part just didn't work. We were trying to do it on one mic. It just was not going as planned. So we said, all right, let's do this proper because they seem to like it a whole lot. So excited to get their thoughts on it in the next couple of days. And that episode should be out on Monday.
Awesome. Dr. Earl, we know that for the most part you're off the grid, but you can occasionally be
I did a
found.
drop into Discord this week.
You did
Not
a
that
drop,
cord.
and we appreciate that, Dr. Earl. You went to your pretentious corner, and you talked about the French Dispatch. I appreciate you doing that, Dr. Earl.
Very, very Wes Anderson.
You're a crowd,
and very pretentious.
Yes.
the people love you, and the people were excited to see you drop something in the pretentious corner. In fact, I think you got Burgess like all hyped up. I think Burgess went in there and started talking some nonsense about Mubi,
Dropped like 3 paragraphs worth of stuff.
Really? Burgess wrote something?
Three paragraphs about some service called Mubi that he's obsessed with, and then a bunch of words that I didn't understand about some movie that he was trying to talk about.
I read it like 5 times. I'm like, this sounds really interesting.
What is this guy even talking about? Yeah, I was like, what is this dude talking about? That's just because Burgess thinks he's even more pretentious than Dr. Earl, and it's hard. It's hard.
Wow, start the year right. I was talking about, movie.
Oh man, Mubi, watched one film, canceled it. That's your review from a very art house service. That's your review from Garrison about Mubi. Sorry, Mubi.
You're not a fan of Mubi?
Garrison's odd. I've never used a Mubi before.
Oh wow,
so
he says very art house service. Well, then I'm very intrigued.
I know, right? You can find me at the Michael Nip on Twitter. That's mostly where I hang out. I'm obviously in the Deucecast Discord. We release episodes every Wednesday for the Deucecast movie show. We've got a fun episode coming out tomorrow that we've never done before, which was the winners of the year. So the week before we did Lumps of Coal, which was sort of the losers of the year. We did the winners of the year. We've never really done that before. So just winning. Yeah, we did stuff that we thought won in 2021 is coming out next week. We will, of course, be back next week for episode 4 of 1883. And I'll probably watch that making of and see if there's any tidbits in there as well. So just, check that out if you want to see the making of 1883. I still need to watch that Entertainment Tonight thing because those interviews sounded really interesting for the cast of Yellowstone. But it was a good season. 1883 is still on, so this trio, myself, Roth, and Earl, will be back to talk about 1883 next week. In the meantime, appreciate everybody in the chat. It was really fun. Roth, Earl, thanks so much for coming on, guys. And
thank you, Michael.
We will catch you guys next week.